So good evening, welcome to the Dolly Chain Gang once again. My name's Matt Payne. I'm going to be taking you through all of the action. We've got a brand new course tonight that we've not used before. Going to be pretty exciting stuff. We've had a really busy time over the weekend. Lots of people going out and riding. And at the moment the numbers just starting to add in, or just over 50 riders with some really great riders to join us. Some of our regulars like Ted is here as well. Some Lightfoot's already in there. Matty Smith's in. Also got of course Bryce Smithy from Eurosport fame, national champion as well, and all-round great guy. And we're going to see if he's got the legs to manage the ride in the city of New York, because we're heading to New York for one of my favourite courses, although I don't think it is everybody's. Before we do that and we show you that, let's have a quick chat with Russ, and let's see if we can get Russ on the blower. This is always an interesting moment with the tech, and you'll have to forgive me for diving across. It's been a really busy day. Now then, Russ, as if by the power of magic, you're on the phone line. How are you?
I'm alright, mate. I was just sat refreshing my phone, thinking, oh, Matt's having a night off.
I wish. It was a little bit of a close run thing, it has to be said. I was just sorting out, it's really busy with some new guidance about events, so obviously my phone's quite busy with that one, oddly enough. So I then looked at it and went, yeah, better get going. We need to be broadcasting real soon. So we are here. We're live. We've got some really good guests for a new course. What brought this course on, Russ? How come we're playing in New York with the world's biggest climb?
I saw Back to the Future 2 or something with the hoverboards and thought, yeah, let's have a play, you know. I did actually put a request in just for 2 times at Box Hill, and then I just thought, no, you know, let's keep it fun. It is a horrible climb, isn't it? But
it is. It's really weird climb, isn't it? Because it kind of steps on the way up. It rises and flattens and goes again, and then it levels at the top. Just, you know, that proper leg blowing kind of thing that you just don't want at the top. It doesn't stop right on the edge, does it? You've got to keep going all the way over the top with it.
Yeah, but it'll be right, you know. But I think people say what doesn't break you makes you stronger. So
excellent.
Hopefully it can calm people down and we can really chill tonight.
Yep, I think so. Hopefully reasonable numbers. That means we can keep hold of everybody. Listen, the clock's ticking, and we're going to let you get ready to get the troops under control. And the world is joining at the moment, which is keeping it really busy. And we'll show the viewers what's coming up and what you guys are facing tonight.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, Russ. And you. So a big thank you to Russ there. Let's jump straight across with to get into that last minute. And we're going to go dive across to the map. We let it refresh itself because it shows you now the route. From the start, we go off and round. Now, the circuit is basically the Gotham Grind in reverse, which is like doing a series of figure of eights around New York Central Park. But then, once we've gone around, we come looping back in towards the final climb, which is a brute of a climb. You can see, basically, we've got 3 laps down the bottom before then, working our way around, and we whip round into the final climb up onto the top of the hillside. And it is an elevated skywalkway. If you've not seen this before, then you do need to keep an eye on this, because it is something different and very futuristic. Great to see. And if Russ hasn't given you a taster of it, watch definitely the Back to the Future, that is for sure, because that will give you a great idea. Now, our riders are just up and riding, they're just heading away. We're going to catch up with them very shortly, but what we will do, let's show you the profile as they just get themselves sorted out on the course, because the profile's critical. This is absolutely why Russ has chosen it. You ready? Here it comes. Simple part of the course, all heading off and down away, down out to, from sort of the top corner down out to the right hand side, and we go round the loops, but the killer is a bit up in the top corner over there, and that is the big climb up to the finish. We only do it once at the end of the loop, so 3 loops before we head off up, and we go up to the top of the climb, and that is where things are definitely going to get interested. Now, we've got lots of our regulars out on the course. Let's go across to one of our regulars. Who shall we pick? Shall we pick Mr. Brian Smithy? Why not, indeed. Here, of course, just before commentating on the Strada Bianchi. So we're going to take a little look at Bry and just see what he is up to very shortly. So get that profile in your mind. We're going to head across, and I think we're able just about to pick up Brian. Brian's hiding just behind a few riders at the moment, and he is going to be, I think, a little bit easier to see from the side. So if you're wondering what Brian Smithy looks like in the virtual world rather than real life, this is Brian, and currently riding that Zwift bike with the slightly deeper rims, and of course with the beard as well. So I'm going to jump across to the commentary screen. We've got multiple screens going on here. We'll show you one of these days, just what's on every single screen around me. But let's get straight over to the action. Our rider's currently about 900 metres, about to complete the first kilometre with most of the group together. So here we go. Let's head out to the ride, and here is our group on the way through. So at the moment, just trying to grab everybody together, and you can see everybody's trying to come a little bit closer. We've got to say a big thank you to, of course, all of our sponsors, to the guys at Downey Cycling, to Russ and to Dean, of course, as well as to Grand Tours Coffee, absolutely fueled up on my favourite blend. And big thank you to Benjenko, a proper cyclist, and a cyclist coffee as well, which is exactly what we want when we are going to be commentating. Brian will tell you it's always key to be fueled up, and Brian just sitting on the back of the bunch, just making sure it's holding all together at the moment. Now, as the riders keep on charging the way around the city, let's explain to you what you've got on your screen. If you haven't seen this before, in New York City, it's slightly different to normal. So what we have, same standard screen, top left hand corner as you look at it is the watts. Brian currently hovering just under 200 watts, just under 100 revs per minute, 121 beats per minute. It's a pretty steady heart rate. Middle of the screen is speed, 56 kilometers an hour, 1.8k covered, 9 meters of climbing. Woo, whole 9 meters, believe me, it's going to change. And of course, the time taken so far, 3 minutes and 1, 2, 3 seconds. Right hand corner is the map. Now, this is our interactive map that we get a little bit of control of. We start off with the 3D image. You can see the riders are going to be coming into a junction. That's going to be mirrored by the left hand turn they're taking on screen at the moment. If we take it to a closer look, we can see how close that blob is, and if we change our camera angle to being the eye in the sky, you can see our helicopter showing the group is all together, matching that as they just come down to the road junction. Now you can see they're taking that left hand turn coming round and heading around across the park. And how do I know it's across the park? Because if we zoom out, we can see the whole width of Central Park at the moment. So Mike Killingsworth, the intrepid sidecar rider, up there at the front of that group at the moment, with Charlton, Stonyland all rolling round, and Bryce Smithy moving up towards the front. We've got our yellow beacon, that is Russ, he is our ride leader. And of course we've got the red beacon. The legendary Martin Bolt is with us once again. He is our red beacon. He is the man who is going to be sweeping at the back once things start to get a little bit stretched out. Now, lots of riders who are back. It looks like Dan Shaw's back in again. Trevor Creon's in here. Mr. Bird is back in the group. Thornley, Glenn Thornley's back in as well. He's here. Hyam's back in. Lots of our riders returning. And as you can see, this course is bumpy. If you look at the top right hand side of your screen, you'll see there's just a little dark black line at the bottom with an orange Z and the green sprint. And in front of that is the little profile of the course that they're on at the moment. Now this changes as they work their way around the Gotham Grind as the course is at the moment, and that will show you exactly where they are, what they've got coming up, and you can see they're just on a little bit of a bumpy rise up. They're rising up towards the lake at the moment, and the riders at the moment in one big blob. If we zoom in on them, there we go, you can just see all these riders pretty much all together. Now at the moment the riders are riding along. They've got a variety of power levels, lots of different people having different FTP, functional threshold power, and that basically means that the level that they're able to sustain for an hour is going to vary. Some riders will be struggling when we're at 2.1, 2.6 watts per kilo, which is what Billy Nomex is doing up near the front. If you go down to the guys at the back, they're still rolling around about 2.7. Darryl Clark just running on 3.1 to get himself back in touch. But this whole group from front to back currently looking to me like that is going to be a group of about 4 seconds on the road. It's going to be about 4 seconds for the group to come through, but no major gaps developing as yet. And you just see our beacon at the back there, Martin Bolt. So as we watch Bryce Smithy, who's going to be commentating on the Strada Bianchi, one of my favourite events ever, with my favourite commentary too as well, because we've got Bryce Smithy down there on the mic as well. It's going to be great to watch. Make sure you get it watched. I'm really looking forward to Saturday. And great to see the resumption of so many continental races in what is a really challenging time. I mentioned earlier some of the new guidance that's out now in the UK, and been working my way through that, because obviously being on the mic at lots of live events normally means that at the moment with no live events, things are a little bit quiet, which means that we're able to support the Daring brothers and the Daring Cycling to get the Donny Chain Gang out to you. So just watching coming through, just a little bit of chat on the main chat about keeping the watts per kilo down, and looks like 1 or 2 people getting singled out for some stick from Russ, just to keep it down there. So just keeping an eye on there now. We're just keeping a look. Andy Hawes is out with us once again. Let's see if we can get across to Horsey to have a little look and see what he is up to. Not always as easy as it sounds, because we've got to find him in what is a very tightly packed bunch, as you can see here, the riders making their way around New York City. Now, one of the key things, this is very Back to the Future, we have flying cars and we have flying roadways. If you look up to the map at the top, you'll see on the top right hand side, you'll see what it looks like a little stream in blue, currently going up towards the top left hand corner. It's in a very light blue green, and what that is the aerial roadway, and we're going to see one of those very shortly as they come in and around. So we'll see those as they make their way around the corner now. At the moment, just struggling a little bit to get across to Andy. So let's jump across to another of our favourite. This is Mr. Phil Pearce. Mr. Phil Pearce, the man who can do more miles on the back wheel than he can on 2 wheels. A prolific trials rider, mountain bike winner, as well as a very handy rider out here on Zwift as well. And great to see Phil. I was lucky enough to be on the mountain watching his progress in the mountain bike world in the national series, and watch him work his way right up to the very top of the tree. And of course, the rider who we sent out to Rio to go test the Rio mountain bike course as well. Now, great to see him out and riding. Let's have a drop across to another of our regulars whilst we wait for Andy Horse to reappear into sight. And let's go across to Lily Swan. Lily is out in this group somewhere. We'll see if we can pick Lily up, just working her way up and through. If we drop across to the camera in the sky onto our drone cam here, we'll spin round, try not to make you all too dizzy. So you just see a Lily here just starting to work her way up in that green jersey now. Lily, one of the very fast riders, we expected to be in there pretty much until the end. A very competent rider, more than capable of rolling at the pace we're rolling around now, which is between 2.5 and about 3.5 watts per kilo. That is the power. Those are absolutely key numbers when it comes to the climb. They're not so key when you hit the fast flat sections. At the moment, slightly downhill, we're just about to actually go underneath one of the aerial roadways. You can see it going over the top of our riders now as Lily dives in and through. And if we spin round, you'll be able to just see it arcing over the top. We're going to be up on one of those for our climb up into the finish. But at the moment, Lily are working her way up on the right side in that green jersey as we spin round, but looking as they come up around the rest of the mob now coming up, and certainly a very quick pace being set. Now, one man we do need to keep our eye on is going to be Mr. Kogan. Let's see if we can get across to Dan, because Dan, infamous Dan, I don't attack early, honest Kogan, is here in this blue Sigma Sport kit. And we're going to try and just drop in front of him. He's bound to be working his way to the front. Here we go. You can just see Dan moving his way up. Here we get a view from him. He's right up on the front, and now just starting to work back as the riders mob around him. And Dan, of course, a regular on the chain gang, a regular winner on the chain gang, and a very fast set of legs as well. Nice to see a compact bunch at this stage, still rolling around nicely. And looks like the legendary Mr. Singleton is in this group as well. So our riders pacing their way in and around. So Kogan in this group, Swan in this group nicely. All these riders working their way around the park. The laps are going to tick off pretty quickly. Remember, we're going to do 41k in total this course, 37 kilometres, and at the moment the riders enjoying the smooth tarmac that is Central Park. Just on the run down in towards the sprint. At the moment, no times up on the sprint. We're going to keep an eye. It looks like at least one rider going for it here early doors. And looks like Cameron Richardson is the man who's gone for it at 12.9 watts per kilo. He should be taking that green jersey. I'm not sure the rest of the group are going to be very chuffed with that. He's gone and got 14.57 up at the front of the group, with the rest of the group coming through at 17.18. So it looks like Cameron Richardson daring to poke the beast, but he has backed off back down to 2 watts per kilo. I think to let that group come back, because he opened a couple of seconds up the road. I think he's not going to be out the front for very long, but you can see the damage that's been done. Let's zoom in on those dots. One long thin line, and that's the problem. When somebody goes, people will chase automatically. It's a reactive thing. Everybody does it naturally, and because of it, you can see at the back the red beacon is starting to get strung out. We're going to use the advantage we have with our camera to jump in with the drone at the moment. We really are zoomed out at the minute, but what it will let us do, if we take a little bit of a look up the road, you can see that light group is now starting to reform. We're a long way from that sprint, and at the back of the group the gaps really have opened up now. So we've got 3 or 4 riders in just being distanced by 1 or 2 seconds. Let's see if they are going to stay there. So the images continue to play as our riders come in towards the standard lap. You can see underneath the arch is equivalent to being at the orange Z on the top of the map, and our riders are going to be working their way down the side of the block. We'll zoom back out again, come past where they came in. That's the staging area, and as they come down, it's like Mr. Crehan just having to back off a little bit. Trevor improving week on week. Really been watching his numbers, and great to see, but the gaps are opening up between the front riders. So remember, 1 of 3 laps done, as Ted quite rightly said, and we're going to see just how compact that group stays as this group all start to come back together again. Let's drop down to one man who was absolutely flying on Tuesday. This is Mr. Kieran Smith. He's in the blue and green Dayglow camo. He's got the lightweight bike there because he's gone for the lightest frame on Zwift for that KOM after party. That is the Specialized Tarmac Pro. And I'm just taking a little look at those wheels. I suspect they are going to be Envies on there. The man just shadowed him has got the Melensteins. You've got to go up and down up the Alp and hope that the Wheel of Fortune lands on it. Not landed on it for me, despite riding it 4 days in a row. Not that I'm bitter much to anybody else who's managed to get them, but you can see lots of these riders choosing, if we flick our way in and round the bunch, lightweight bikes, nothing too aero in there, but everybody knowing that the bunch is likely to stay together, and when it goes it's going to be on that climb. There are a few aero wheels in there, and we're going to see if that's going to make a difference, but Kieran are able to hold the group, and after a few times of trying, taking the win on Tuesday. So looking good at the moment, and just rolling his way right up to the front of the group. So Kieran rolling along the front alongside Turtle from the MTS Cycle Sport. Looks like they're going well up at the front of the group. Just still watching everybody working their way through. Looks like Steve Smith's up there for Medway at the moment. Atkinson's in there. Pillino makes his back once again. That's great to see. And Glenn Turnbull riding strong. Dean Cash nicely up at the front. Thorny James West is up there. It's like Dave Staniland, Steve Ridston back again. And that's a great to see. Mel Blackford is back. Daniel Shaw from Sitwell's back. Cameron Fraser is here. That's not really a huge surprise to see Fraser in the action. And if we watch Fraser, you'll see Fraser has the white helmet on the Tron bike in the Nun Sigma Sport kit. Kogan with the dark helmet and with the beard. So Cameron Fraser, another of our rigs, and a man who we know can go very, very fast uphill indeed. Will that still be the case? Now, as you can see, we've just jettisoned our red beacon. If you take a look up on the top right hand corner of your screen, you'll see the map. The red chevron showing that beacon is now behind. The beacon being held by Martin Bott, who is our red beacon, our sweeper, and I think Carl Johnson not too far behind him. We're just going to take a quick look across at Carl. I think the rolling drags at the moment are making life a little bit difficult for Carl. So here comes Carl on his way down, looking good at the minute. And Carl riding that GCN kit with, remember, there's going to be a live live race pass coming up soon from them. And you can just see Johnson's going, I think, to try and make contact with Lindley and with Bolt at the moment. So those three riders are pretty close together. So you've got Johnson at the moment, just at the back. Then it's going to be Lindley just in a front. We're just going to double check that. Don't Lindley in with the group. Just our screens, just playing silly monkeys are with us, which always makes life interesting. So it is going to be Johnson, then it's going to be Bolt. He's slowly closing on Bolt. Bolt currently pushing out 2.5 watts per kilo, and I think Martin is not going to be closed down by Johnson at the minute. So let's see how this is going on. Certainly looking very, very interesting indeed. So it looks like Mr. Johnson slowly making his way up towards Bob Bolt to that gap, yo-yoing out currently between about 4 seconds now. Is Martin gonna wait for Carl? If you take a look back, here comes Carl Johnson rolling around. Meanwhile, the front of that bunch of the group at 56 seconds. Now, one of the reasons we're going to jump back to Martin a little bit more at the moment, and Carl, I don't think we're going to get a chance later on as our riders continue round circuit. Martin currently coming 12.6 kilometres. If we jump up to the main group, I think it is going to be Hancock's. He's the rider on the back of the group, and you can see it is one long line strung out here, and the gaps are starting to open. The undulating nature of this course is really starting to stretch the riders out. At the moment, it's Hancock's at 3 seconds behind Darrell Clark, who is currently yo-yoing off the back of the bunch. Phil Pearce is doing the same as well. Now, Clark and Pearce are both capable of putting out some seriously big numbers to get themselves back on to the group. But at the moment, the back of the group is currently going to be the man from PDQ Cycle Coaching now, Phil Pearce, just in the red numbers come up of over 8 watts per kilo there from Phil as he just kicks on. Clark is coming through. Looks like they've not collected Hancock's, who's now at 10 seconds behind the back of the chasers. That's behind Clark, Pearce and Co, and about 20 to 30 seconds behind the front of the group now. We jump up into the group at the front. You can see this is what is left of the bunch. The two chasers behind, it looks like Darrell Clark and Phil Pearce are distanced off the back now. Is Russ going to wait to collect them? There's to be a fair bit of pressure up on the front of this bunch. We're just going to work our way up towards the very front and see who is doing the damage up here. And I think it is Smithy who is potentially being the disruptive one at the front. So let's just try and dive right into the front of that group and see where Brian Smith is here. Well, he's just dropping back a little bit through that group, but you can see the numbers up there. There's plenty of 3.2, 3.4 watts per kilo. These riders rolling around the front. There's a 3.9 there from Richards, and he's the one who went off and got the sprint. Chris from the Alliance MTB is right in there. Looks like Maddie Smith from Bolsover in this group. Maddie, of course, a national champion, a great cross and mountain biker, and regular, or soon to be regular on the Bolsover rides, as well as, of course, as the Donny Chain Gang. But lots of these riders putting some great rides. Now we're going to see which of these riders stay with the group. At the moment, it certainly looks like Maddie Smith, Lily is in here. We've got Millie Skinner in here, we've got Swan in here. We're just taking a little bit of a look to see who else is holding in here. Certainly Swan is in this group. So it's certainly looking at the moment like these roller coaster roads are breaking the group up now. Let's get back to what is happening down near the back of the bunch. Last time we saw, we were seeing that there were a couple of riders just being distanced out the back. Now let's go back and see what the damage is at the moment. And remember, it was Hancock's who was distanced, and Jason from PDQ. I think they are going to be the riders who are definitely distanced here. So it is now. Phil Pearce and Darrell Clark have just got back on, and Darrell pointing out, well, that was an effort to get back on. I'm not surprised. Everyone knows the danger, and I think that was a bit tactical there, them making life a little bit more difficult for the riders. But you can see on your map, top of your map, the yellow chevron, the beacon up at the top. That's Russ and the front of the group. The blue arrow on the course at the moment, that is going to be Hancock's. Craig Hancock's there just at the moment. The last rider to be distanced last that we saw behind, then it's going to be the man from PDQ. That's Jason from PDQ Cycle Coaching, and then behind him Martin Bolt and Carl Johnson, currently separated by about 6 seconds. So if we go across to Martin Bolt behind him, just to make out the figure of Carl Johnson. Johnson not quite making it onto the back wheel of Bolt. He's got Bolt as a carrot out in front. He'll be able to see that beacon. But as you can see, the time gaps from Bolt at the moment, it is 2 minutes 20 up to the group at the front. Hancock's currently the nearest rider to that group, but that gap really has started to open up. So plenty of OTE disappearing, and apologies for a few breaks in the commentary at the moment. I told you it was a busy day. It's been pretty manic. Remember, of course, all the Chain Gang all being brought to you by myself, Matt Payne, and doing all of the direction, camera work, sound work, TV coverage, graphic design, pretty much everything except riding. And I leave that to a far better pair of legs than mine, and that is to the legs of Russ. Down now you can see the power up starting to go in as we hit this 5% here. We're going to drop across here and just sit with Fraser at the minute. You can see the damage that is being done here. If we take a look up the road from Fraser, You can see that sprint that they've just gone through has left about 15-20 up at the front, in front of a Russ by about 6 or 7 seconds behind, though. It is absolutely in pieces. So let's see if it comes back down. The crying is out from Russ to hold it at sub 2 watts per kilo. Remember, Russ's messages go up on all of our riders' screens. It's not something that all the other riders' messages do. However, Russ being able to ping a message out to everybody, and it looks like the front just slowing off enough to let that reform. You see just how quick this group has come together. When everybody cooperates, there's still plenty of time left before we move our way out on to the climb. 1 or 2 riders using the get advantage of it coming back together to move up towards the front of the bunch. This is how it quickly speeds up. 1 or 2 riders decide they're going to move up. They push up, maybe around about the 3 watts per kilo to get themselves up near the front. And of course, as everybody does it, that squeeze goes on, and that puts people in trouble behind. So just watching Fraser at the moment, 311 watts. As we move on to what is one of the steepest sections here, as you come back in towards the gantry. The rider's coming up what is a 9% hill. It starts to level off just as you go up and through underneath the lap gantry here. Now with 18.7 kilometers covered for the peloton. Chasers behind this group just started to get strung out, and I think we may well have lost 1 more rider off the bat. Remember, it was Hancock's was the rider who wasn't quite in touch. He'd been distanced a little bit. You're going to take a little bit of a look down behind the riders and see who is going to be distanced, and it could well be Mike Killingsworth has gone off the back of this group. Looks like Mike's got a power drop out here, not like him at all, because Mike has just been left at the line. So Hancock's distance, Killingsworth at the moment, he's got dropped out, and it looks like Phil Pearce and Russ Downing have just been distanced and dropped off the back now. Phil currently kicking 4 watts per kilo, trying to get onto the back of Russ, who is currently trying to multitask, typing and riding at the same time. Now Russ kicking up to 5.1 watts per kilo to get himself back in. I think he's going to pick up Millie. Here he comes. Lily Swan on the way through. So it looks like Lily is going to jump on the back of Phil Pearce here. Come on, Lily. Time to give it a kick. She's currently got the women's sprint jersey. She needs to up the power. You see 5 watts per kilo. Almost there. Just trying to jump onto the back of that duo coming past now. Mike Killingsworth definitely out, getting power out completely. 0 watts per kilo. Swan, Pearce and Downing now. If Russ and Phil just ease off a touch, I think they're going to find Lily's going to get on there. And if Swan can get on that back wheel, here she comes. There's going to be the 3 behind them. Russ will start to wind it up. He'll pull them up to the group. Remember, the drafting is only there within 6 meters of the rider in front. 3 bike lengths you can allow between you and the rider in front. Once that's gone, it's gone. And if we take a little bit of a look up from Lily's point of view, this is what she sees out from the her eye view, just jumping in there behind Phil Pearce. You can just see, if we drop across to her avatar, just tracking the back, the 2 riders in green, trying to just close that last gap down. Now that gap is hovering more than 6 seconds, and Phil and looks like Lily just going to have to push on a little bit harder. They want that gap to pull that gap through. Here they are, they're on to the back now. So Hancock's at 2:52, is at 2:53, is the nearest rider, nearly 3 minutes down on this bunch. So we've got the bunch, and then all of the distanced riders are over 3 minutes at the moment. And as you can see, riders, when they get back on, if we just track with Swan and Pearce here, they are just moving their way up to the front. They're not backing off the pace too early, because they've just been the distance. They want to get themselves right back up to the front of the group, give themselves a little bit of sliding room. We're going to just keep an eye on what happens here as our riders make their way around. Remember, they're going to be going up on to the climb eventually, but as we start to hit the 30k mark, they're going to be heading up. At the moment, currently doing 21, but at the moment, when all of the peloton are together, the chasing riders behind are now at over 3 minutes behind our leaders, which means that the front group, the peloton, is still back together, much like a rolling day in the Tour. a few riders getting dropped off early, nobody breaking away just yet, and the bunch holding all back together as the riders come back into towards what is going to be a quick left-hand turn here. So the bunch taking the left-hand turn around the end of the park, and just starting to make their way round. Johnny Atkinson right up at the front with Matt Johnson, Cameron Fraser, Rob Bernard, and Billy Nomex is in there. Phil Pearce moved his way up. Chris from the Alliance MTB squad. Dan Cogan not too far off. Alex Dowse is right in there as well. If we go towards the back of the group, it looks to me like the riders rolling around in what is dangerous ground. Maddie Smith, Russ Darby, Matt Locke are all rolling around the back of that group. Now let's take a little bit of a jump back towards those riders who are maybe just in the danger zone. They're just on the back there, so they are just rolling around the back of the group. It's Locke, Rodney, it looks like Shelley's in there, Darryl Clark doing his traditional let's roll around the back until it all gets sharp, pointy and fast, and then all of a sudden it gets a little bit interesting, and he's right up to the front, saving his energy I think for the climb, which is going to come at the end. Remember that Velo Viewer graphic. A massive thank you to Velo Viewer doing the business once again. Remember, you can go on to Zwift Insider for all the maps, you can go on to Velo Viewer for all of the course and segment details, the climbs, the descents, seeing one or two of the power-ups, the game boosts going in. That's an aero boost being put in there at the moment, and that's just going to reduce the aerodynamic drag at the moment as Mr. Locke's boost drops off him there. These riders going along, the thumbs up are coming from other riders, so we can drop a thumbs up onto Mr. Locke. There it goes, right onto his head. We can pick another of our regulars. Let's go on to Mr. Fraser, so we can drop him a thumbs up on the way round there. He's in that SIS kit coming up on the right hand side. There we go, riding the S-Works at the moment, and I think we'll move off him because we've still got wheel jealousy, wheel envy from his Mellensteins that are on there now. Andy Bishop's one of our regular riders. Bish here, he's got the matching beard as he has in real life actually. Bish has a very good facial hair game going on at the moment. That's matched by his avatar here on Zwift. Just moving his way up through the group, trying to get himself up a little bit nearer to the front. You can just see his blue arrow in this group. Russ at the moment with the yellow chevron right at the back. And if you look just below where our riders are on the map, you'll see yellow beacon, and our riders are just at the top of one set of hills pretty much. The red beacon just at the other. We've got to roll down and climb up through to the sprint coming up very quickly indeed. And if we zoom out, we're going to try and get right the way out. You'll see that coming up at the top of your screen. So we've got the dip down coming up. That's the dip down up towards where the top of the screen is, where the lake and little ponds are. And then you're going to be running back up again. So this group are motoring along at the moment. And it looks like Shaw just holding just off the front there. It's certainly moving around very fast. It looks like Andy Hawes has an appointment in an hour for a massage now in Andy. There's less of him to work on than there was before. I don't know if he's going to get a discount with the amount of weight Andy's lost over lockdown. He should be getting a 50% discount. He's a shadow of the man he was once upon a time, that is for sure. This group all holding together now. One or two people just starting to be distanced off the back of the group. Let's see who is it who is being distanced. It's certainly pretty quick up there now. I think Tim Howcroft just fighting with the pace. Yeah, Howcroft has gone off the back of this group. He's the next victim of this high level pace, so Tim Howcroft being a distance on the way through. Looks like Rodney is being a distance now, and Rodney currently sitting 15 seconds off the group. Howcroft 17 seconds behind him, but they are a long way in front of the rest of the chasers. But this is what's happening. Riders are being shelled in ones or two. Trevor Crean's holding on the back of the group, so is Johnson. Locke, they're all rolling around at the back. We take this left hand turn here. Now our riders know things are going to get very, very interesting indeed as they work their way along. You can just see this pack is staying together. 25 kilometres nearly covered now So they make their way along the straight. Swan is our green jersey. We're going to try and jump in and catch up with Swan. Takes a little bit of doing, but here we go. So Swan is in here, and this pace is pretty steady. The Russ is at the back currently, I think, not having the best of times, and needs some entertainment because the music stopped. That's not good going. Russ has a love-hate relationship with tech, it has to be said. So up on the 8% climb as it rolls up and over, and we're going to just concentrate with this group for a little while longer, because they're going to give us a good indication just what the Central Park in New York is like. You can see the skyscrapers around the side, and I've got to say it's an absolutely astounding layout here on Zwift. As you can see, the roadways up and over. Remember, we're going to be heading up onto the King of the Mountains. Looks like Chris at the Alliance MTB is coming up with a characteristically rubbishly well overdone joke. Come on, we know, Chris, you'll have seen that on Facebook, either that or Instagram. Follow Chris on Instagram, make sure you catch up with him, and he's going to go up there. So here we go. The riders just rolling through, one or two people just pausing on the descent down. Our riders, though, at the moment, working their way along and just holding it together at the moment as we come up towards the end of the park. This slight drag before we roll around to the right hand side. Currently a 2% climb. Russ just sitting on the back of this bunch, and all of the group holding it together. Remember, we've seen a number of riders go off the back. Tim Harcroft being distance, Johnson's gone, Hancock's has gone, but this is the leading group. Looks like Phil Pearce, after that effort to go back onto the back of the group, he's yo-yoing around the back. He's just in front at the moment of Russ, who is guarding the back of the group just to see who is holding position as these riders keep on making their way around here. It's certainly looking like this group are going strongly. You can see one of the turnings to go up onto the climbs that are up overhead everywhere. So we're just holding with Swan kicking at 270 odd watts per kilo, and now the group just starting to head downhill and rolling down this very slight decrease in gradient. There's not many places actually in New York where you can go for what is the easy way of riding and going to the super tuck, as I think it's going to be Shaw from Sitwell who's gone hard here. Phil Pearce, after rolling round the back, has worked his way right the way up to the front. Is Pearce going to be able to take away the green and men's jersey? Swan has the women's at the moment. Is she going to hold on to that? Let's see who has got it. Richardson still holds it, but he's gone quicker with a 13.18, and Swan holds the women's jersey with a 16.17, and the group is feeling the pressure now because of that sprint. The riders at the front are going to have to back off here. There are 2 or 3 voids opening in the space here. So this is where the group needs to ease off of the power. They need to let that go back as riders come back through. They're actually travelling in almost the opposite direction at that point as they come around, take that right hand turn to our chasing a group. In fact, our red beacon is going to just about be able to see the yellow in the distance. So a regroup being called for by Russ. That means the power needs to come off the front, guys. If you're up there and you're listening live, which you can do, you need to back it off. Mr. Richardson doing the business. He's at 1.7 watts per kilo, but not everybody is doing that at the moment. There are a few people also, I think, who are a little bit nervous using the call to back off just to roll up to the front. At the front of the group, all sat. I can't see many 3 watts per kilo there from anybody, and I think most of the riders just easing off, just taking it a little bit easier. We've still got a split in action. If we zoom in upon the top of the screen, there's a big split in this group, and it's been flagged to the riders. Looks like Swan has made the front group here. If we zoom back across, we're going to try and get up above to try and give you a view of that gap. And that gap is rolling back. It looks like 1 or 2 riders have eased back maybe a little bit too much and have gone to 0 watts per kilo, dropping out and round in the background. Russ still keeping an eye on the back. Remember, the regroup is still on. One or two people who maybe have been having a hard time just rolling the way in. Not too easy, particularly if you've not got a smart turbo to roll it up smoothly into the group. It's definitely an art to be able to ride Zwift quickly. There are a lot of tricks of the trade that you can employ to get yourself back up with the group that you can use to expend less energy. A smart Zwift rider will have a much lower watts per kilo for covering the ground at the same pace, because they'll use the drafting, they'll use all of the tricks about going through groups, getting a mass draft, about using the boost to get in there. Now, that group is still not reformed. There are still big gaps all the way through it. The pace on the front is still pretty hot up at the front. And still seeing a few people kicking on at sort of 4s and 5 watts per kilo, trying to stay in with the group. And I don't remember seeing the word go from rush yet, so everybody should still be being held together, and the group now finally coming back in. There's 5 riders off the back. They're only a few seconds back. If they can pull them in, we're going to have almost an intact group back in with the front here, but I think it is going to be a little bit tricky for the riders who are just off the back. I think it's going to be Johnny Two Dogs back there, Trevor Crehan in that group. I think Andy Hawes is in that group as well, and that's the group that is just distanced a little, so they're going to need to back off the pace a bit. They're just going to try and jump in with that group a little bit further back now. You can see Andy's in here, looks like Williams is in here, Donohue's in here as well, Lightfoot, Crehan are in here. They are in front of the rest of the group, but as they work their way up, they are trying to get themselves back into the group. It's 5 seconds is the gap as Phil Pearce holds around the back of the bunch. If you look up at the map at the top right hand side of your screen, you'll see where they are on that shot. This is our chasing group now at 7 seconds. The gap is not coming down at the moment. Lightfoot and Hawes leading the charge. Donohue, Williams, Crehan trying to stay with them. They're going to try and get in. Remember, the top of the climb is the king of the mountains. The finish line, there is extra in the right to roll over the top and warm down. But I think this group has been distanced. I think Andy Hawes and co have been left to it now. As the group at the front stretch that lead out, they're now at 13 seconds, 14 seconds, 15 seconds ahead of this group. This group is going to be a game over for them. So as the leader starts to head in towards the climb, it looks like the group are going to be distanced. If we take a look back from the back of the bunch, you can't see the riders behind Thornton, behind Russ at the moment. There is pretty much nobody in that no man's land. Shelley is in there. He's not going to stay in there for very long, I don't think. Lightfoot now 20 seconds behind as these riders come through. Russ and Thornton holding at the back, 21 seconds to the group behind. Now, who's your money going to be on here? Is it going to be one of our regular winners? This group is looking like it means business now. The pace has gone up, and this is where we're going to see who is going to be able to sit in with this group and take advantage of it. Key is to stay on as long as possible. Now, Maddie Smith from Bolsover is in here. Lily Swan is in here. I think we've still got Millie Skinner still sat in this group at the front. It's looking at the moment like they are still all sat in the group, and at the moment it is very, very quick. Up on the front, Rick King of the MTS Cycle Sport is riding really strongly at the minute. He's one of those riders who keeps on nudging his way around the front, and going to just drop up above him here. He's constantly around the front of the group. Is he going to be there? He's one of our older riders. I say older, he's a lot younger than me. But he's one of the riders who's looking very, very comfortable in there. What's he riding at the moment? Well, he's on a Trek Mondes, who's a lightweight bike. He's got the Zip 808s by the look of it on there, so they're a big heavy wheel in comparison. They're great for the long gradual drags. But they're no good once it gets steeper. And at the moment, Russ just putting in a kick here up on the front. He's also employing the power up. You can just see Russ opening that gap on the front. And at the moment, one or two people able to respond. I suspect Russ just started to lead it out here. As we make our way up, you can see we're now heading up on to the climb. We're at 5% and we're going to go hit the Sky Roads any second. Now Russ is right in here. He's let it out into the climb, but is he going to be able to hold the power? Watch out for the red power numbers in the riders. The red watts per kilo means people are really putting the hammer down. 5 watts per kilo, 6 watts per kilo. Phil Pearce moving his way up here very strongly at 5.7, 5.8, 6.2 watts per kilo, 7.5 coming from Andy Bishop at times here at the minute. All these riders are wanting to go right up towards the front of the group. Just taking a little bit of a look up here, and you can see the very front of this group is being kicked on, and it's being kicked on by regular culprit, the man who leads us out regularly. It's Dan Cogan. He's gone early again. Now is he going to get his timing right? He made a bit of a hash of it when we went up the volcano. His brain was maybe full of lava at the time. He went really hard early, and that makes life very difficult if you get it wrong. He then was chased back down. At the moment, Watson is chasing hard, so Cogan is the lead rider, currently kicking out just over 400 watts, sitting at 6 watts per kilo behind. 7.3 coming from Watson. Johnson's at 5.3. Russ Dolby is working hard. We thought he'd be up there. Green jersey of Richardson, not too far off the pace. He's only a few seconds behind, though. Sky Road levelling out a little bit at the minute, and it's going to be really interesting to see where they're at. It's a dead level section of road as they come past that left hand turn. However, you can see it is going to vary a little bit. The Sky Roads are not level, and once that gap opens, at the moment it's up to -6%, the groups will split. These two leaders, Cogan and Watson, with 13 seconds on Phil Pearce. Russ Dolby, looks like Johnson, Richardson also up at that 14-second mark. Doughty, leading the group at 19 seconds behind our leaders, and that's the group that contains Darrell Clark, contains Russ Downing at the moment. And the downhill will play towards the big pack. If they can work together, they'll be able to pull this gap back. But you can see in front, it's going to change very soon, and they're going to be heading back up once again. Here we go, rolling in towards the next roller coaster section of this aerial roadway, and it's looking very tight indeed. If we take a look back from these riders who are currently on a 6% climb, Cogan going to the front with 7 watts per kilo here. You can see the angle, you can see just how steep this is. Watson's losing ground here. Is he going to be able to stay with him? It's going to crest in a minute. They're going to level off slightly here, and it looks like Watson's just pushing hard behind. They're going to be able to look up and round the corner here, because we're going to see just how hard these climbs are. They're looking good at the moment as they work their way around over the top. We're taking a little bit of a look back. Where is that chasing group? Well, you can see that pack is starting to come back, but it's not much of a pack. Let's drop across to them and let's see who is in that group. They're only seconds behind. He's being led here by Richardson and Clark at the moment. This is Risdon at the moment in here, so it looks like Darrell Clark is in here. Looks like Peacock's in here, Johnson's in here, Dolby's in here, Clark's in here, Pearce is in here as well. Oh, look at this. It looks to me like Kieran Smith is in here as well. Now, Kieran's in that multicolour strip. Remember, he was the winner last time out on the Greater London Flat. Kieran just powering his way up, and here we are. The catch is made, and they absolutely sweep past Cogan there and Watson as they come in and through, and they just swept past in a big way. Cogan going early and taking some stick for it, but you can see the two just making the way onto the back of the group once again. So we take a little bit of a look down. You see Russ with the beacon up above him, Johnson on the pink bike, Watson on the blue Tron bike, Dolby on the orange Tron bike there. You've got Kieran Smith in the multicoloured jersey there as well, all in that pack. These riders are still very close together, and they're working well at the moment. Remember, we've still got plenty of ascent left. You can see the Sky Road up there working its way up. Remember, it's a 37 kilometre course, so we have got something in the region of 2k to go. but this is the elite pack. That work done by Kogan has split the pack apart, and this is who has chased back on. These are the riders who have made the group. So here we go. We think 5k to go. Russ is calling it, and I would rely on Russ being pretty accurate here. I think he only added a k on to the top of it as they go up on to our next climb. 7%, just easy enough as they come around once again. This is the leading group. So Russ Dolby, Steve Risdon, Dan Kogan, Brett Doughty, along with Matt Johnson in there, Darrell Clark, Kieran Smith, Johnny Atkinson, Phil Pearce, Dean Watson, Richard Peacock are in there now. Rick King leading the charge behind. He's at 11 seconds. Matt Locke, along with Alex Dowse, currently behind inside 30 seconds. Dan Shaw from Sitwell at 33 with Mel Blackford, Richard Dobson, Glenn Thornley and Mick Handley all sitting behind. Jono is back there as well. Lily Swan, the first of our women, currently at 1 minute and 20 seconds down. She's leading the women. Maddie Smith, currently second of our women out on the course. The Bolsover and District Riders second in the women's riders. Dan Kogan though going once again for it, trying to push on here. He's just gone to 8 watts per kilo, but Richardson, the green jersey holder, is coming fast here. 10 watts per kilo coming from Richardson. He's closing that gap down. Big kick from Watson as well. And it looks like Kogan, Watson and Richardson have the high watts per kilo to make the attack, but have they got the power to make it stick? Right hand side of your screen, you can see the orange banner up at the top. That is the King of the Mountains, and these three are starting to pull clear. Watson is currently at 1 second and closing fast, but Clark is leading the chase. He's trying to bridge across to our leaders, and Richardson's just putting a power up there. Richardson's all of a sudden, he's engaged that feather. He's going to use that now. It's reduced his the effect of gravity. Basically, he's knocked about 20% off his weight. He's not exactly a heavy rider. He's on the Mellensteins, which are the lightest, fastest climbing wheel on Zwift as well. I think he's got the best aero bikes in there in terms of Zwift as well. It looks like he has really come equipped for the business, and you can see the gradient now as he makes his way up here. He's got Kogan sitting on his wheels. You can see how steep it is. It's 17% at the moment, and it's turned into a slow bike race at the moment. We're only doing 15 kilometers an hour as these riders go up this steep section. Richardson not able to pull clear with that feather. Watson working his way past him now. They're going to come into the right hand turn and going to be able to see the climb. They're going to see that finish coming up in front of them very, very quickly indeed. It's a really fast turn into it. The chasing group behind are now at 11 seconds. And that is going to be a Peacock. Now you can see these riders are sweeping round. We're going to try and get a really quick, good shot up above and around them, because I think the winner of the chain gang, not that it's a race, but it often turns into it, is going to come from these four. You've got Watson currently leading this group out. He is currently sitting in there with the grey jersey. You've got Kogan in the Sigma Sport jersey. You've got it looks like Clark up there. He's in the black of ICC. He's the rider who's gone for it first. Has he got his timing right? Watson's working hard to close it down. Who's going to get the timing right? I think it's going to be Watson. Let's take a look up above and see where they are at the moment. It looks to me like it is going to be Watson who's going to get it. He goes underneath and Watson takes it from Clark. Then it's going to be Richardson and Kogan. So Kogan goes too early and doesn't take it. Watson takes the victory after going with Kogan on that early attack. Clark bridging across takes second. Richardson takes third place, and Kogan taking fourth behind. We're going to drop back across, and I think it is going to be Dolby followed by Peacock. Then the chase is on behind Phil Pearce. He's going to be our next rider through. He's going to be tracked through by Kieran Smith, then Doughty, Downing, Johnson on his way up towards the line at the moment behind Johnson. He's got a gap, so he's going to come through. But what a fantastic ride there. The rider's really pushing hard all the way up to the top. We said it came quick up over the top. And that's exactly what happens. These riders on the way up this climb, they come around the right hand turn, it steps up in front of them. It's the brutal section of the climb, and I think it's going to be Atkinson, our next rider in underneath. The line is broken clear of King. Jono is behind him now. Jono's gone over the top as well, so it is Atkinson, then Jono, then King, and Dan Shaw's going to follow them in here. Shaw, Risdon and Gibbons are going to be pretty much all on the same time underneath the go, so it is Shaw, Risdon, Gibbons, and then Turnbull going through on the back of that group there. So great to see Turnbull riding so strongly. Prinsloo coming up to the line next. He's going to go through in front of Handley. Then it's going to be Bishop, followed by Cass, and then Daz following him through. Blackford coming through the thick and fast at the moment. Then it's going to be a little bit of a gap back. If we look back from Thornley, it's going to be Thornley and Hyam on the way through. There are next two, so Thornley goes through in front of Hyam. Then it's going to be Cameron Fraser. Fraser is going to come up towards the line. He's going to hold that gap, I think, at the moment. He's going to be in front of the man from C&N Cycles. So Cameron Fraser goes through in front of Dobson. Behind him then it's going to be West who's going to hit the line. Yep, West goes through, and then it's going to be our women's green jersey, and the first woman up the climb, it is Lily Swan riding the bite. Good effect there, and it's one of the lighter bikes, but taking a green sprint jersey and doing the business as well. Has been our first woman up to the top and rewarded with the jersey as well. So Watson 2:58 in the men, Swan a 4:03 in the women. Behind her then West, Singleton, Locke, Goddard, Rowing Parker, Barnard, followed then by Ted, Sims, Sutcliffe and Charlton. And it's going to be Charlton, our next rider, heading to the line for the Muckle Cycle Club. He's got company in the shape of Lindley. He's got Ronker not too far behind and Fraser about 6 seconds down. But it is going to be Charlton. Then it's going to be Lindley coming through in the black. Ronker comes through in that light blue jersey. And next it's going to be Fraser in the SIS jersey, followed by Genther in the green. And Whitehead not too far behind. He's going to make his way in front of Brown and Steve Smith of the Medway Velo Club. So as he crests the top of the hill, it is a Whitehead, the next rider through the line. Next is going to be a Brown. So Brown, our next rider, heading into the line. Dean Brown putting a great ride just in front of Steve Smith. And then it's going to be Chris from the Alliance MTB. So Chris from the Alliance MTB just being passed there by Edwards. Richard Edwards going to take it from Chris there. So Edwards goes through, then it's Chris from the Alliance MTB behind. Then Bird is going to be our next rider on his way, and Joshua Bird riding up there in the orange. And you can see it's not going to be long before we see the riders to go around and do an extra lap on the way around. As they come in and through. So just watching Bird coming in to the finish. You just see Russ isn't too far away chasing them down. Got Thornley, got Kieran Smith, Bryce Smithy on his way in here now. So Bryce Smithy going over the top. Good rider by Bry. You can see the riders are whipping around, and looks like we're going to see Russ just make his way up over the top once again, and it certainly gets very interesting indeed with all these riders doing that extra lap on the way round. The after party whipping the riders twice round and up over that climb. Remember the riders finishing at the top of the climb. Big sprint into the finish. Maddie Smith coming over, the second of our women coming through the line now. We're going to try and pick up riders who've only gone through the once, and just make sure we get them. Looks like Williams coming in just behind Maddie, then Donahue on his way up towards the finish as well. So Williams over the top is going to be Andy Hawes, who's not too far off the top as well. So just keeping an eye. Donahue on his way up in the blue there for the Barnsley Road Club. It's going to be chased in. I think Andy Hawes not too far behind. Andy's got company here in the shape of Mr. Lightfoot. So that is going to get very, very interesting as well. So Johnny Two Dogs going to be trying to take on Andy Hawes as they come up. Thorny having come through the finish already for the Chef Rex squad. So there's going to be Horsey, then it's going to be Mr. Lightfoot and Mr. Crehan, who are all together and making the way up to the top of the climb. Basically, if you stay on after you've done your 37.5k, which is the course, it whips you round back over the climb once again, because like once isn't enough for everybody, honest gov. So Andy Hawes on his way to the line, and just going to take a look. Horsey just leading up at this group on the way into the line, and he's going to just need to push on off over the top because Lightfoot's got a pretty quick kick on him. Trevor Crehan improving week on week, but I think it is going to be Andy who's going to come to the line next. So Andy Hawes in the white and black, the next of our riders in and through the line. Then it's going to be Mr. Lightfoot, followed by Trevor Crehan. They go in and through. We're going to work our way down from them to see just who else is out on the course with distance to cover. So looking at our screens, let's jump across to Carl Johnson. Carl is on his way up the climb at the moment, and you can see Carl and Martin Bolt are there. It looks like Carl's reversed the positions between himself and Martin Bolt this time around. So Carl Johnson just in front of Martin Bolt here. So a busy night on Swift, a busy night on the New York circuit with the KOM after party, and lots of riders on that actually. Basically, when you finish the after party, it keeps spitting you around up and over the climb time and time and time again, just to make things interesting as these riders go, and then riders can start to work their way down and jump out from the event after 41k. So basically the extra laps throw extra people in, gives somebody to ride with on the way up. Carl Johnson just in front, 10 seconds on Mr. Bolt. So still a couple of riders out on the course. So a really exciting course, really interesting. It's a little confusing because you're going up in the sky, of course, and that makes things tricky for the riders to keep track on exactly where everybody is. But a fantastic attack on the way into the finish. It was so good to see just how hard it is, and if you're looking out on the screen over there, you can see just how tough this is with Carl just heading up at the moment. He's pushing out 3.7 watts per kilo. He's still traveling at 8 kilometers an hour, but that's 17% gradient, really taking its toll on our riders. And with Carl and with Martin Bolt, who's our other rider out on the course on the way up the climb. Martin now on that same section of course. You can see just how steep that is. It is incredibly tough stuff up there. So thank you everybody for watching. Please remember, support the people who support your sport. The Downing brothers, Russ Dean and myself, Matt Payne, for Full Speed Events. We're doing this all for nothing. It's all about keeping our riders together through what was lockdown when we couldn't ride, and hopefully we're going to keep this going all the way through the winter as well. Try and keep our community together. Don't forget, of course, as well as ourselves, the people who are keeping us going. OT particularly in terms of, I'm going to use this hand, OT keeping us fueled up, Wahoo of course keeping us going with the turbo trainers underneath. I want to say a massive thank you to Zwift. Without them none of this is possible, including the images that you're seeing, because they help power the whole broadcast as well. Big thank you to Muck-Off, to Grand Tour Coffee. Can't say big thanks enough to Ben. Looking forward to some different blends coming in. I'm a bit of an addict when it comes to the coffee. It's not just things like the Alpha Zwift that I get stuck on time and time again. I've got to say a big thank you to them. Big thank you to Pinarello, to Halo for looking after us with bikes. A massive thank you, of course, to Mallorca Cycling, looking after everybody. People who've sponsored our prizes as well, people like the Bad Company Brewing Company, Halo and Muck-Off, as we mentioned, who've put up prizes on the way through to get us going and get people interested in the first place. Remember, all of this coming to you, broadcast out by myself, Matt Payne. Don't forget, if you want your event covered, if you do a Zwift ride of your own, give me a shout, because at the moment with no live events, it's a great way for me to not only keep in practice and to keep up with the action, but also to make sure that we keep this fantastic community of ours going. Don't forget to tune in on Saturday. Bryce Smithy, our guest tonight on the Chain Gang, is going to be bringing you all of the action from the Strada Bianchi, and I'm looking forward to the action. Fortunately, we're on a flatter course on Thursday. It's going to be a little bit more straightforward, less gradient. You're not going to see anything like 16% on the Greater London Flat. We know what that course is going to be like. It's going to be quick, there's going to be a lot of groups, and there's going to be a lot of people supported. So well done, guys, for getting around today. I hope to see you all on Thursday. In the meantime, keep it rubber side down. Thank you very much for watching the Donny Chain Gang. My name is Matt Payne, and I'll see you on Thursday.